Hello. This is going to be my first long form YouTube video, and I want to talk about a subject that I have really struggled with for some time now. I'd say over a year, and this is going to be kind of hard for me to talk about, getting more vulnerable than I usually would, but I wish I had something like this when I was going through the worst of it. So I'm just here for anybody who maybe feels alone, doesn't feel seen. That's why I'm making this video. If this helps even one person, then my goal has been accomplished. I struggled with binge eating a lot this past year. It took over my life. I can't explain how much guilt, how much shame, how much embarrassment I felt. It made me not want to be around people, not be around my loved ones, not be around my friends, because I just felt ashamed. I felt like they knew. And I felt lost and I didn't know what to do. So I'm gonna just be talking about some things that helped me and whatever else comes to mind. Just honestly, this is me talking to my previous self. This is me just talking to my previous self. And I am blessed that I overcame it. I do still struggle sometimes, but I'm pretty good. I'm in a good place now, to where I can talk about it, and I won't go turn and just do it again. This is for that kid out there who is struggling and feels like no one understands him, and just is lost and doesn't know what to do, doesn't know what the next step is. This is for you, and if that's you, then please listen to every word I have to say. And if it's not you, you can still stick around, but the purpose of this video is just to help people that went through something similar that I did. Just how Buff Unicorn helped me in a funny way, because I felt she talks about a lot of the same struggles that I went through. Well, first I want to give a little backstory about how this started, how I got to where I got, before I talk about anything else. So when I was little, I didn't really understand the concept or what it really meant to be full, be satiated, be good. I don't need any more. I took the phrase, "Oh, I'm full," way too literally, to where I would eat and I wouldn't want to stop till I was like full. And I think it would, because I would like be asked, like, "Hey, are you full? Do you want more?" And I'd sit there and be like, I mean, I'm not full, as in I'm not stuffed to the brim, because I thought that's what they meant, but came to learn that that was not true, and you don't need to be stuffed to the brim to finish an eating occasion. So that's kind of where it mostly stemmed from. I'd say that's where the root of this all was. And then just growing up, there was instances where I would just like go to the kitchen, go to the pantry, just eat out of boredom, because honestly I was not asking for pity here or anything, but I was a kind of a lonely kid. So I don't know, it's just the quickest sense of dopamine that you can get, and satisfaction without that you can just get at home, anywhere, anytime. And when I found that, it was like drugs to me, which kind of led to this sort of food addiction. So it was like that for a lot of my life, but I didn't understand. I didn't know I was binge eating. I was just doing it because I just enjoyed it, I guess. But I was also very unhappy with how I looked, because that's doing that, obviously you overconsume calories, so you will gain weight, and I gained a lot of it. My heaviest was probably 180, I think. And so I just hit a breaking point one day, and this was honestly just not even that long ago, it was a couple years ago. But I didn't want to be, I didn't like how I looked. And so I did everything in my power to change that. And I actually all started in this room, doing pull-ups right there. I had a bench press set up back here, and I would just be grinding. And yes, working out is healthy, it is good. I'm not saying that it's not, but well, first, I worked out kind of normally. I just worked with whatever I had. I had dumbbells, so I'd bench press the dumbbells, I'd squat with the dumbbells. Excuse me, I do bicep curls. All the simple stuff. I do pull-ups right there. And it was good. It was good. But then I obviously wanted to change how I looked, so I started counting my calories, which I don't want to say I regret, because I don't like regretting anything, because everything that I've gone through made me who I am today, and made me be able to make this video and hopefully help other people. But I started calorie tracking, and it got to a point where it was very obsessive and very disordered. I'd say I never got diagnosed, but I feel like it wasn't amazing. I'd be scared to even go, not scared, because I don't say I was ever scared of food, but I was like, I just wanted to be perfect. And I was, honestly, I was so perfect. And anytime I'd go, like, going over 1,800 calories was kind of like a big eating day for me. And it was like that for months and months and months. And yes, I got down a lot of weight, and I also started running, which, I mean, I like running, and running is one of my favorite things to do. But it also got to, it kind of, sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this. I kind of use running as a way to, yes, obviously burn calories, but make up for food that I ate sometimes, which when it gets to a point where it's just too much, right? And I got to that point, and it was just not pretty. I also messed up my gut a lot doing eating very restricted, because I would just be assigned to like Greek yogurt, egg whites, like the typical diet foods, right? Which are super amazing and useful when you're trying to diet down, but you also need to add variety. You need to add fruits, you need to add vegetables, which I did, but I feel like I neglected my fats. So I always say, don't neglect your healthy fats and fiber and these different varieties of foods, because every time someone says, oh, I want to start tracking my calories or something, or I want to gain weight, or I want to lose weight, I'm always like, be careful, dog, because I know how bad it can get, and I don't want to see my homies go through that, or anyone go through that. Even if I don't like hang out with you, I don't talk to you, maybe I don't mess with you, I still would not want anybody to go through that. So yeah, so I got to obsessively over-exercising, which is what I was trying to say. And then I should remember this is a very condensed story, but I remember one day I looked at myself on a run, and I was doing my regular little 5K loop, and I realized I looked at because I was so and I still sometimes am a little too obsessed. Not obsessed, but I like constantly look and try to make sure I look good or just not bad. But before it was way worse. I would every car I ran past, I'd look at my reflection, look at my reflection, look at my reflection, look at my reflection. Am I form good? Do I look weird? Do I look weird while I'm running? Is my face red? Do I have boogers all over my face? It was just constant thoughts about body image and food and oh, you still don't even look good because sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I was running and I ran past this car and I looked at my reflection as I did a lot. And I was like, I stopped. I was like, bro, you don't look good. Like my arms were hecka skinny. I was what you call skinny fat, I guess, which is kind of like a term, but that's how I would describe it. Because I was skinny, my arms were skinny, but I still had my midsection was still kind of bigger, but that was attributed to my messed up gut microbiome. So I was always bloated, and it was the whole thing, right? But it's way better now. Anyways, eat a variety of foods. Sorry. Where was I going? Oh yeah, so I looked at myself. I was like, bro, you don't look good. So that's when I really switched from running to weightlifting more, and I kind of stopped running. And that was also kind of the point where I was like, bro, it's not that serious, chill. And I remember one time I was like, someone made like a cake or something, and I went out, and as I did, usually I grabbed my plate, grabbed my scale, and I was weighing it out, and I was like, I ate it, and I was like I want more, but just, I don't know. It's not like I was hungry. It's not like it's weird. It's hard to explain when you've never gone through it, but you just eat to eat, and then you get guilty because you ate. So you eat more to cope with the guilt because the food produces dopamine to your head, which makes you feel better in the moment, but then after you feel even worse than when you began. It's the best way I can describe it. So that happened, and I just kept going more and more. Well, not a lot, but like, I was like, I stopped and I looked at myself. And I looked at what I was doing. And I was like, this isn't okay. Like I wouldn't want my friends to go to do what I'm doing. And at that time, a lot of my friends were kind of like, yo, like, good stuff. Like, you lost a lot of weight, you look good. And yes, I didn't look horrible, but I was not anywhere close to where I wanted to be. And the way that I was living my life was not going to get me there. So I was like, bro, you need to chill. And I think from that day on, I stopped counting my calories and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, I went off on a really bad tangent about my just fitness journey. But I mean, I guess it all kind of comes in together. So I stopped tracking, kind of cold turkey, kind of still tracked a little bit. But once I got over the initial guilt that you shouldn't be feeling of kind of not tracking because I felt like I should because I did for so long, okay, keep in mind, this is very much a blur for me because I was in a deficit of calories for so long that like not everything was getting enough fuel. So a lot of my memory from back like 1-2 years ago is not great. And even my friends were trying to remind me of something that we did together. I'm like, bro, I don't remember that at all. So that is also a downside. But I mean, I also just have bad memory in general, but that didn't help. So jump a little forward to, I'd say, last summer. This is where I kind of started trying to focus on fixing my gut because I was constantly bloated. It was just not a fun body to be in, right? So I focused on adding in a variety of foods, different types of fiber, but insoluble and soluble fiber, which they come from different types of foods, which I was gonna make a video on food, nutrition, a little bit, stuff like that, but separate video. So yeah, I spent a bit trying to just eat enough and eat a variety. I said that a lot, sorry. But eat a variety of whole foods and not restrict, most importantly, which that part exactly, the not restrict, that's also what kind of led me to binging a little more. So, I mean, yeah, after you try to stop being super restrictive, you're obviously gonna eat a little more, probably be in a surplus a little bit, and that's fine. But I took it too far, and so jump forward a little more. I've actually got a real membership at a gym that I actually work at now. But, so, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. So I started going there, and I was kind of just focused on building some muscle, building my muscle back, because I lost a lot of muscle in that deficit, which also made me look not very good, kind of made my body was kind of shaped weird. So I just focused on building muscle, getting enough food, and just trying to fix my gut. And so it was fine for a bit until it wasn't. Throughout the summer, I was pretty good. I was fine, but more when school started, is when it got way worse. So in the beginning, I would just eat more because I was like, oh, this sounds kind of good. And then if I'm like, nah, I'm not even that hungry, I'd have like a little voice in my head be like, oh, stop over restricting, don't fall back into the eating disorder. So I was like, oh, okay, so I guess I'll go eat it. And that just happened again and again and again and again. And about halfway through the year is when it really got bad. Because I always kind of struggled with binge eating, as I said previously, but it wasn't to this extent, and it got to an extent where it was really bad, and I have a lot of bad experiences that I'm not going to get into them because it would just make the video an hour long. But it's just this, you kind of disassociate with your brain. Your brain is telling, there's this voice in your head that's telling you, stop, stop, right? You ate enough, you're good. But then there's just, not that you're out of control, because obviously you control yourself, but you kind of being like pulled towards the food. And I look at it kind of the same way as, like, I'm not trying to compare this to trying to quit drugs, but this is the best analogy that I can give, or the best comparison. It's like, you should stop, and you want to stop, but it's just something that's pulling you back. And it's that quick dopamine that you get. But after, I didn't feel good, and I felt gross, I felt shameful, and I felt guilty. So that was just a cycle. And then some days, yeah, they'd be good. It's people outside. I ordered a mic, so the audio will be better in like a couple days, but we're gonna have to thug it out. But so it's just this reoccurring cycle that I felt trapped in, and I just didn't know how to get out because I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because it's kind of embarrassing. Like, dude, you can't stop eating? What? But that was just my reality, and I felt like no one understood, no one knew how I felt, and I'd always watched Buff Unicorn I'd watched her before, and she makes amazing content, but she dealt with the same thing, and she was the only person that really made me feel like, oh, it's not just me. Like I'm not broken, right? And she really helped me because she really helped me feel seen and not as isolated and more validated for feeling how I feel. And she talked about how to stop, how she stopped. And she just helped me immensely. And I would recommend go and watch her videos if you're struggling with something like that, because she articulates herself way better than I do, because she's just been doing this for much longer. But yeah, so I was still stuck in that loop for months and months and months. And I didn't know what to do. I felt like I tried everything. And honestly, what really helped me was being grateful, which sounds kind of weird to say when you're struggling with something, but like Buff Unicorn says, what a privilege, right? What a privilege to be able to struggle with food like this. What a privilege to be able to go outside and move your body. What a privilege to live in a place to not live in a third world country where there's wars going on. What a privileged struggle this is that I'm dealing with. And just being grateful for, I'm trying not to tie this into religion, but God really helped me, and he just gave me someone to talk to, because whether he's real or not, I was expressing what I was feeling to somebody, to something, I don't know how to refer to God as. I don't think he's a somebody, but you know what I mean. And I think what it really was, if you're not spiritual, is just talking to somebody, asking for help, and having someone to be there that you can text, like, hey, I feel like I'm about to go do this thing, whether it's go binge on food, go back to the drug, go whatever bad habit it is. Just having that accountability buddy makes worlds of difference. And yes, it might be scary to ask somebody, it might be scary to tell somebody, but it's gonna be so worth it when, and however long it takes, a month, 6 months, year, it's gonna be so worth it to have done that, because now you're healed, and now you can go out with your friends and not feel ashamed and not feel like everybody's judging you. So I know it might be scary in the moment to talk about it, just getting it out of your head, because it doesn't feel like you're just broken, and you feel heard and seen, which is something that I really struggled with, because I felt no one that I knew in real life knew what I was going through, that I knew of. And so just watching her videos and watching someone that understands me, it made me feel seen, and it made me feel like, oh, she got through it, so I can get through it too. And so she made me feel seen. Like, that's how Peach Fit, or Jacob, he made me feel seen. He made me feel like he's the reason I did this. He's the reason I'm doing this. He's the reason I'm talking about this. And there's a huge fly right here. It's like this big. Sorry. But he made me feel seen. He knew exactly how I felt because he went through his own struggles. So he gave me the best advice that he could give somebody. And that's why I'm looping that back to this. That is why I'm making this video. Make whoever feels lonely or isolated, unheard, whatever other synonyms there are, I want them to feel seen and not alone. And even if this might embarrass me, I'm being very vulnerable right now. And I'm not sure how people will react to this video. But I'm fine. I don't need help. I don't want your pity. If you're not going through this, I didn't make it for you, but you're free to watch. And I thank you. I appreciate you for watching because that's what's going to make this channel grow. But I'm fine. I'm good. I have a much healthier perspective on food now. And now my mission with just in general, is to help people with things that I went through, because I believe that I went through these hard things, so I can, on the other side of that, help people get through the same thing in a much easier way. Because I always knew I could get through this. I always believed in myself. I never gave up on myself. I always struggled. I never let myself suffer. I always tried to get back. I worked on it for so long. I always struggled. And like David Goggins said, I'm gonna fail, and then I win, right? So it's only a matter of time before you get through what you're going through. And if you need help with anything relating to this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm still very, very small, very small creator. So I love giving advice, and I love talking to people one-on-one. I like making people feel seen, because I didn't always. So please, if you need help, reach out. If not to me, to someone you trust. And I think that's it.